Hello and welcome to another video from War Secrets. Italy's participation in World War II was unique because it first pledged its alliance to the German Reich at the start of the war. But in the middle of 1943, when the Allies launched an invasion of Italy, Italians switched to the Allied side. Despite having the largest aeronautical park among the Axis powers at the outbreak of World War II, Italy had the smallest air force among the Axis powers. As the war came calling, the Regia Aeronautica was way out of its depth. One of its few saving graces was the Fiat.G55, which served in both the Regia Aeronautica and the post-1943 Aeronautica Nazionale Repubblicana. In today's video, we are going to take a deep look at this mainstay of the World War II Italian Air Force. So let's begin. The Fiat.G55 Centauro was an enhanced variant of the G50. Powered by a license-built DB605 engine and armed with 2 machine guns and 3 20mm cannons, thus addressing most of the issues with the earlier aircraft. It was undoubtedly the best fighter aircraft produced in Italy during World War II, but it came too late in too small numbers to make a significant difference in the battle. The lack of engine power and weaponry were the two main issues of the highly maneuverable G50. In G55, both of these issues were solved. The first problem was handled by swapping the G50's weak Fiat radial engine for a license-built Daimler-Benz DB605A1 inline engine, all of the Series 5's fighters, which included the marquee MC205 Reggiane Re 2005. And Fiat G55 utilized this engine, known as the Fiat RA1050 RC58 Typhoon. The second issue was partially rectified in the prototype and pre-production G55/0 series by installing a 20mm Mauser MG151/20 cannon that fired through the propeller hub, and was eliminated in the production G55/I series by installing 2 additional 20mm cannons in the wings. The design was created to support swift production processes to send as many G55s into Italian fighter groups as feasible. 3 prototypes were built, with the unarmed first and the second prototypes taking to the air on April 30th, 1942. The third prototype was used as a crucial weapons testing platform. The Italian government had already contracted the design for full-scale manufacture while the prototypes were still being evaluated in operational scenarios. The Fiat G55 was Italy's best fighter during World War II, without a doubt. A total of 75 planes were constructed during the war, with another 75 being produced after the conflict. The G55 proved to be a great fighter design, combining a sleek and aerodynamic airframe with a strong engine to create a tough and dependable gun platform. The G55 was a significant upgrade over the open-air cockpit. Radial engine G50 Freccia fighter series, Giuseppe Gabrielli is credited with the sleek design. Gabrielli worked for Fiat as an aeronautics engineer and had a lot of experience in the industry, including designing the previous G50. During his illustrious career, Gabrielli would complete 142 aircraft designs, including the first Italian jet fighter, the Air Italia G91, and the remarkable G222, Universal Military Transport Aircraft. The G55 was designed by Gabrielli, and his usual clean aesthetics and aerodynamic finesse, the choice of the German Daimler-Benz inline was a great move, making the G55 the greatest fighter mount Italy could field almost immediately. Before the war, Italian pilots favored open-air cockpit fighters because of the superior visibility and freedom they provided. But high-altitude and high-speed flight needed an enclosed canopy, which these romantic Italian airmen would have to accept moving ahead. The Fiat G55's design was one of the most appealing of all the World War II fighter planes. Clean lines and a smooth contour characterized the type, something which was lacking in previous Italian fighter designs throughout the conflict. The engine, which spun a 3-bladed propeller system, was placed significantly forward of the design in its chamber. The G55 was built entirely out of metal. The rounded low-wing monoplane wings were located ahead of the cockpit, forward of amidships. The cockpit was roughly centered along the circular fuselage, with a raised 2-piece canopy that, despite its frame, provided good visibility. The G55's long nose and elevated fuselage spine hampered views down the sides and forward, although they were still good. The empennage, which had a single rounded vertical tail fin, tapered abruptly from the fuselage. Stabilizers were evenly shaped and positioned slightly higher than the main wings on each side of the empennage. The undercarriage, which comprised of 2 single-wheeled main landing gears and a tail wheel under the empennage, was fully retractable. The G55 pre-production and production variants differed slightly in terms of armament. A single Mauser 20mm MG151-20 type cannon fired via the propeller hub of the G55-0. 250 rounds of ammo were provided for the cannon, and there were 4 Breda Safat machine guns, each with a 12.7mm or 50 caliber. 2 were attached to the upper engine cowling, while 2 were installed near the roots in the lower cowling. A total of 300 rounds of ammo were available for each machine gun. 3 20mm Mauser MG150-120 series cannons and 2 12.7mm Breda Safat machine guns made up the G51-1's armament. For greater range, the G55I was equipped to carry up to 2 353-pound bombs or fuel drop tanks. Performance and strength, a single Fiat RA1050 RC58 Typhoon series engine provided power for the production-level G55-1. This engine was a hanging, liquid-cooled, inverted V12 inline that was nothing more than a Fiat-branded license-produced version of the German Daimler-Benz DB605A1 series engine. The total horsepower output was quoted as 1,475. The G55's performance, combined with its superior airframe design, resulted in a top speed of around 390 miles per hour. It could climb to 41,000 feet and fly 745 miles of airspace on internal fuel alone, and even further with external fuel tanks installed under the wings. In practice, the G55 proved to be a tough plane that could survive a lot of harm while still getting the crew home. The high cockpit and large canopy provided good visibility, and its engine made it a standout performer when compared to its allied counterparts. The G55's handling was said to be exceptional, and it made for a superior dogfighting platform to the point where it became a favorite with Italian and Luftwaffe pilots. The armament was equally remarkable, consisting of a variety of heavy cannons and machine guns. The G55 first saw combat in March 1943, when it was assigned to the 353 Squadriglia to defend Rome. Only 16 specimens of the pre-production G55 Zeros and 15 examples of the production-level G55 1s were completed when Italy officially surrendered to the advancing Allies in September 1943. Despite Italy's surrender, fascist-controlled manufacturers continued to produce Centauros, resulting in a total of 274 Centauros, many of which are now being supplied to relocated Italian forces in the north. After 1943, Italian dictator Benito Mussolini established the National Republican Air Force (ANR) in fascist-controlled northern Italy to continue Italy's battle against the Allies. Early in 1944, with the war still raging, Fiat fitted 2 G55 prototypes with Daimler-Benz DB603A series engines, giving them the new name of G56. The fuselage and machine guns were eliminated to conserve weight and allow for a greater internal room, while the airframe was only slightly modified. Despite the improved performance of this new aircraft, it was not mass-produced due to difficulties concerning the availability of DB603 series engines at this stage in the war. Fiat used one of the 2 G56s that survived the war as an evaluation testbed. The Fiat G55 was at least as good as the Macchi MC205V Veltro in terms of speed and firepower, but it entered service even later than the Macchi. By the time the Italian armistice was signed in September 1943, just 31 aircraft had been delivered. The G55 made its combat debut just before the armistice, defending Rome from Allied bombers. The Fiat plants in northern Italy remained in German control after the armistice, and manufacture of the G55 resumed. The Squadriglia Montefusco flew the G55s that were still under fascist control. The German Luftwaffe regarded the G55 so highly that it used it in its ranks from 1944 to 1945. It was employed to equip the fascist air force's fighter squadrons as they fought alongside the Luftwaffe, where it proved to be a match for the Spitfires and Mustangs flying against it. The G55 had a brief post-war history in Europe. About 30 unfinished G55s were salvaged by Fiat and sent to the rebuilding Regia Aeronautica, as well as the Argentine Air Force. In 1948, Argentina transferred some of their used G55As to Egypt. These were eventually employed against Israel in the 1948 War of Independence, where they pitted against Israeli Air Force Avia 199 fighter jets. There is no consensus on the number of G55s built during the war, with estimates ranging from around 100 to a somewhat more impressive 274 finished and 37 abandoned halfway through. Because the supply of the license-built engine was never reliable, the lower values are more likely. After the war, a large number of G55s were finished utilizing parts made during the conflict, giving rise to the G55A and G55B. As with the G59, the aircraft was powered by a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine. This brings today's video to an end. We hope you liked it. If so, please subscribe to War Secrets, press the bell icon to receive the latest updates for our future videos. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.